Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, everyone. We're a full house, and it's Irish week, so we have Irish Patty, of course. We have Sandy dressed in green, and Denise wearing orange because it's Irish week. So, and we have Kathy, our guest. So, it will be a another fun episode. How are you doing today?
Doing great.
Great. Hey, thank you, Anne, for those Tim Tams and biscuits. Well, let's see who we have here today. Well, we have Betsy is busy, so Sandy is filling in for Betsy, and Patty is filling in for Greg, who is coming. He's on his way. He's coming from. Do you know Patty?
Toronto. Driving from Toronto.
Driving from Toronto to his house, so
Up the Grove.
he will be here
May or may
anytime
not be
soon.
here by the end, depending on traffic.
Yes, and we have today also our guest Elizabeth Rosson. I hope I said that well. And she's our member of the week. But we're going to say hi to those in the chat. I see Rick was the first here, I guess. Hi, Rick. We have Amanda from Melbourne, Australia, Tim Tams. We have Melanie, of course, also from Southeast Queensland. And we have John Tyner, of course. It's Irish week, so we have John. Who else is here? Let me see. Sue. Hi, Sue. Sue Creer. Tia. Hello, Tia. I'm waiting for your profile makeover. Hillary Gatsby. Hi, Hillary. Judy Stats. Hi, Judy. We met last root steak, so it's great to say hi now that I know who Judy is. Who else we have here? Murray Maloney. Hi. Who else? Susan Anderson from Los Angeles. And we have. Please let me know if I skip someone. Lucas Murphy. Hi. Patricia Jackson. Good morning, everyone. Susie Carda. Erwin was here with us saying hi. David Dodd. Who else? I don't want to skip anyone. Doris Lanier. Tamara Sims. And Chris Ferraiola, of course, like every Saturday. Hi, Chris. Well, Joka. Hi, Joka. Pagan Sky. Who's Pagan Sky? I think that's Karen or something like that. Well, I guess that's it. Kathy Sides, June Butka, and Robert Cohen. That's it. Whew. Wow. Well, so what do you say we start with Elizabeth then? Elizabeth Rosen, our member of the week. So, hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for being with us today. I'm glad you accepted our invitation.
Yes, it's a bit of an experience. I've never done this before. I mean, I've had meetings online, but never with WikiTree.
Oh, never with an audience.
No.
now you're live, and I hope you enjoy it. Well, congratulations for being member of the week.
Yes, thank you. I'm honored.
Oh, of course. Yes. Well, you have been a user of WikiTree for almost 6 years now.
Yes.
And you're very active in the Scotland project.
Yep.
So tell us a little about your experience with that project, because your ancestors are from Scotland. So tell us about your ancestors from Scotland and your experience with the trail as a trail guide and with the PIT. Tell us about that.
As I said in my little interview, my parents immigrated from Scotland in 1947. I was born in Canada. fact, I am outside of Toronto. And I had this unusual last name of Penman, and it wasn't a McIntosh, and it wasn't a McGregor, and it wasn't a McDonald. And I thought, this is a different name. And I started asking family members about it, and nobody seemed to know too much. I got a trip to Scotland when I was 13 or 14, and I managed to meet some great aunts. And one of the great aunts said, "Oh, we're Flemish." And I said, "Flemish? That's,
Wow.
and then she said, "And I think our ancestor was a clergyman." So this
Wow.
got me going as well. And I've just been doing research on that ever since. And it's kind of broadened out, of course, because then you go through the main line, you go through the sidelines, and found out things I never knew before. And it's been a really interesting trip.
Wow. And did you get to prove that clergyman theory?
Yes. Well, I had a little bit of a breakthrough yesterday.
Wow. That's interesting.
There was this book written at the turn of the century called The History of an Old House. And it traced the family of the Bishop of Scone through to what was his name? Alexander Stewart, the Bridge of Allen tollmaster.
Wow.
And I've never actually been able to make the connections with any citations because as it was written at the turn of the century, they didn't put citations in back then. But she did thank a professor at the University of Edinburgh for doing her research. So I have to assume it was somehow correct. And yesterday I found the, what do you call it, a request for legitimization of 4 of the sons of the bishop.
Wow.
Including the name of my ancestor. So,
wow.
Yeah.
What a finding.
Yes. So that was kind of exciting. And now I have to try and go through some more dusty documents and try and piece more of it together.
Wow. That's great. Maybe we gave you luck.
I hope so.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, tell us about what has been your mission as a trailblazer and as a trail guide. I mean, and what is the PIT crew?
The what?
Tell us a little. The PIT, the pit crew, in your project. Is the profile improvement something?
I still don't get what you're saying.
You mentioned in your interview that you have been working with the PIT crew in the Scotland project.
I thought you said CIT, and I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing? What I'm doing mostly in the Scotland project is going through all the unsourced. Right now I'm working on Fife, and basically sourcing them. And the pit crew is called that because they're fixing profiles.
And you divide them in groups?
They're divided up by county, but I tend to be a free ranger. I just I don't really stick with one area. I go back and forth. My family's from all over Scotland, so it's not like I have to sit in one location.
Perfect. Yes. Well, and now with these new discoveries, you have a lot more to do.
I've got a lot more to do. Yes.
Yes. Well, tell us how did you get interested in genealogy? What's your story there?
How did I get into it?
Interested in genealogy.
It just came with my nature. I'm just curious, and I'm a bit of a history nerd. So I always wanted to know where my family came from and, what they did. And It was a bit of a disappointment to find out I'm kind of like the 6th generation of miners. So I kept going back and saying, another miner. Oh, another miner. Oh, another miner.
And I bet that clergyman was something that's really sparked
Yes.
this mystery.
Yes.
Made you go. And well, you said you found WikiTree because you were tired of bad trees.
Yeah. No. I had started out with Family Tree Maker.
Okay.
And then I got totally fed up of every year they seemed to, want to, upgrade, and it would be more money and upgrade and more money. And then I tried Legacy, and that was totally complicated. And then I discovered WikiTree, and I thought, wow, it's free. The information is hopefully going to be there forever, and it's not restricted to just me. So that's why I thought this was a good choice.
Great. And you gave a tip, and I want to close this interview with that tip from you as an experienced user to other users that maybe are just beginning. What can you say to them?
The tip I gave, I think I gave 2 tips.
Okay.
One of them, and I found this in all the ones I'm trying to fix, people don't read the document that they actually get. They kind of go, oh, last name, that must be them. Oh, right dates, that must be them. And then you read and you go look in it and you go, hang on, that's the wrong Christian name, or that's the wrong age, and people just, and of course it's so easy nowadays because you just click a button and you can attach these documents to your tree. So that was my first tip, is to read what you get. And the second tip was working with Scotland's People, which is the Scottish government site, that if you know the maiden name of your ancestor and you put in the death area, if you just put in the Christian name of your ancestor and put their mother's maiden name in, it will come up with all the last names they went by. And this is particularly good for women because, they got married. So if, say, Madeline Smith got married to, I don't know, Joe Fleming, if I put in Madeline Smith, it would come out, and her mother's name was Farquharson. If I put that down, and it would bring up her death, and then I'd go back out and take away the Smith and just leave that blank and leave in Farquharson, and it would come up with her married name. And if she had 2 husbands, it would come up with 2 married names, which is pretty good, but a lot of people don't know that.
Okay, so the key is the maternal surname.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Well, that's a great tip. If you have Scottish ancestors, take that tip from Elizabeth and keep it in mind. So, Elizabeth,
and don't be afraid to use Scotland's People. I've had people say to me, "Oh, but it costs money," but the indexes don't cost money. You can go in and search the indexes, and it only costs you money if you want to bring up the document. And the second thing is they have the Kirk Session books, which are the church records for all the miscreants in the parish. So people got hauled before these judges for, fornication, stealing, and you can find an awful lot of information in these books, and it's free.
Wow, you made me curious now.
They're not indexed. They're not. You can't search. You have to search with your eyeballs. So it could mean going through 200 pages of bad writing.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's an interesting challenge. And I bet you a lot of surprises there. Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for your tips, especially for those who are researching in Scotland. And again, congratulations for being member of the
Thank
week.
you.
We invite you to stay with us, and I know you have some errands to
No,
do.
the
So
doorbell hasn't gone yet, so that's okay.
okay, you can do your thing and come back. Well, thank you so much. So now we're with Denise and Kathy Nava.
Good
Hi,
morning or hello, everyone. It may not be morning for you. It may be afternoon. It may be evening, but hello. Glad to be with you all. You know, we've got a lot going on here in WikiTree, and coming up very soon is the Connect-a-thon. We've got the Scotland project, and you just got some excellent tips on how to make those connections. One of the key things, one of my joys in WikiTree is to look and see how I'm connected to people. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done to make those connections happen. And so every month, whether you knew it or not, there is a connection challenge, not just connection checkers. We've got a connection challenge going on. And here to tell us more about that is someone who's very well versed in WikiTree, is involved in tons of other projects. I don't know where she finds the time, but we've got Kathy Nava here with us today. Kathy, welcome.
Hey, Kathy. And
Well,
she's also an elf.
Yes.
This
She's
is
an elf.
weird. I've never talked about this before. So
Awesome. Tell us about the Connection Challenge and what that's all about.
okay, there's the Connection Project, which is the main project, which is what the monthly challenge sits under. The Connection Checkers, my understanding is it's also under the Connection Project, but it's a completely separate challenge by itself. So I'm not involved with that. I'm just involved with when people want to join the Connection Project or Connectors Project, and then the monthly challenge. And a lot of times there's a lot of confusion over the monthly challenge because people don't quite understand how it works. So hopefully this clears it up. Am I going to be able to present my screen just so that I can kind of show people how to walk through what to do? Oh, I hit present, share screen.
Kathy, while you're doing that, I'll just bring my screen up and then we can swap.
Thank you, Sandy.
Kathy, are you there? I think we lost Kathy.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's
Well,
going to have
here.
some.
Okay.
Oh, there.
Oh.
You seem to have an issue with your connection.
Okay, can you see my Connectors Challenge?
Not yet. I'm adding you to the screen, but
Can you
there's
see my
nothing
screen?
there.
Or,
Yeah.
Now
we can.
now we can.
Yeah, now we can. Technology, isn't it
Okay.
wonderful?
okay. Yeah. So this is the Connectors Challenge page. There's a G2G post that you sign up on, and then I have to do a couple behind the scenes things, get you added onto the list in order for you to show up onto the score page to be able to use the tracker. This is a monthly challenge. I just came on board maybe a little over 6 months ago. It could have been a little longer than that. I don't know yet exactly. But if you go to this, there is the link on there to sign up for it. And then we have the rules. And I'm not quite sure why people have a hard time understanding. I've tried to spell this out and make this as clear as possible, but it always seems like we have new people that join that still don't quite understand it. You need to select an existing profile, so one that's been created before the challenge started that is not currently connected to the global family tree. And then you just add any first degree relative to that profile. You keep connecting till you can get to another profile that is unconnected already on the tree. So it's not a, I don't say it's a connect-a-thon because it's really, it is a semi connect-a-thon, but not really, because with a connect-a-thon, but that's not how we do it with the Connectors monthly challenge. We're trying to get the profiles that have been on for a long time that have not been connected to connect them up. If I work on my direct ancestors, and then I have a cousin that just works on their direct ancestors, and we have a common third great grandparent, they're just adding their lines, I'm adding my line, and not doing, the siblings of people. We're not going to be connecting up to that third great grandparent. So we have a bunch of profiles in here that we can connect up. We want to make sure that everyone has been connected. So for scoring in this, one branch equals 1 point. What is meant by one branch? You can have one profile and all that they're connected. So it's a shrub of 50 profiles, and you have another shrub of 2 profiles. You can connect them, and they could still not be connected to the main tree.
And it counts as 2 points.
No, you're just getting the 1 point. So you can connect a smaller shrub to another one. It needs to be connected to the tree in order to get the brand, in order to get the point. This is, I think, why it's confusing, and I try to kind of spell it out. There is confusion. So I tried to use it on here that if you have John Smith, who's an existing unconnected, you need to add 12 profiles to get John connected to, say, his ancestor, Sarah Jones, who's already on there. So they're both existing profiles on WikiTree. Sarah's connected, so she's showing the degrees to the people of the week. But then you have John Smith, who could be a great nephew who's not connected. But by adding John Smith in, he now becomes connected through Sarah and gets that. So you connect, what I say, grandnephew. So you add a couple of like his parent and then their parent, who is, Sarah's sibling. It's a little hard to explain it.
But it's so simple. We have here the explanation, right? It's just connected.
Yeah, it's on here, and it's on the G2G post also. And then there's a sticker that you can add, which goes under the biography heading if you participate. In order to find where you can find unconnected, there's like 3 different places. So you can check your own watch list.
Uh-huh.
Click on the unconnected list by country, which I found out something yesterday, which is on here. I always thought that this list right here pops up with Canada and Latin America and stuff. What I didn't notice and was pointed out to me was that in this green bar up here, you can click and you can change it to
The U.S. Mm-hmm.
Like the U.S. or Europe.
Uh-huh. Well, and if you scroll down that page, you can see specific countries that are already there.
Yeah. Or
Wow.
instead of scrolling down, you can look at the unconnected lists, is what she's talking about. Those links where it says unconnected
Yes.
lists. You can actually see.
On the U.S., you have the state.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Well,
So the objective behind all of this is to connect to the big tree, not just connect people to people like we often do with the Connect-a-thon. So
Exactly.
the objective is to connect to the big tree. Awesome.
Sometimes just click on, whatever world or.
Yep.
And when you connect a branch, then you would have to go and score that point using the tracker, right? The challenge tracker. That is not it's not automatic. I mean, and Patty, you made a good comment here. Tell us about that.
I'm confused by Connect-a-thon and Connectors Challenge. They sound so similar and they're different.
Yes.
Connect-a-thon, you get a point
Yeah.
for adding one person who's supposed to connect to somebody who's already there. So I think it should be called
You
the
can take
Adathon.
me out.
Exactly. But
I used to sign up for the Connectors Challenge
Stop
a few years ago, and then I just got so busy with other things in WikiTree, I forgot about it.
Yeah. And as is the same is true for a lot of people, Patty. So that's why I thought this would be a good time to reintroduce and help people understand. There's a lot of things going on with connectivity. Even though the Connect-a-thon is coming up, we do have the Connectors Challenge that happens monthly. So after the Connect-a-thon, if you still feel like connecting, you still have your connection challenge.
mm-hmm. Well, and as Patty said, this is what I was going for. This is a good point. It's about connecting branches. Maybe there are branches that are all there, maybe 20 people, 15 people already created on WikiTree, but they are unconnected to the tree. So that's what gives you a point and in this challenge.
Yeah.
And we lost Kathy. We lost Kathy, but now we have Greg.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
How are you
Kath.
doing?
Yeah. Yet another connection challenge.
Another connection challenge. That's
Yes.
right. Yes.
This is the real connection challenge.
There she
Yeah.
is. Sorry, Kath, I elbowed you out of the way.
Oh,
No, Kathy's having issues with her connection. But we're saying that this is the real connection challenge.
My computer acts up at times. I was going to give a couple.
Well,
That's
we lost you
okay.
again.
Yeah. That's okay. I think between all of us, we managed to get the word out and make sure the audience understands the difference between the two. Awesome. And we may even encourage Patty to get back into the challenge.
I think I have a list somewhere of unconnected branches that I know how to connect and just haven't got around to.
Okay.
Well, that's helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think
They're
you
all
can find
connected by
that.
now.
I think
We
you can.
lost an Irish
you're-
icon during the week, Ronnie Delaney, our Olympic medal winner from 1956. And I said, I'd try and get him connected on WikiTree. And I found a path to somebody on WikiTree. And then I realized, oops, it's a path to an unconnected branch of 50 other Irish people who are not connected to the big tree. So
All right.
that one will need to be connected as well.
Great.
Awesome.
Nice work. Great. Well, we seem to have lost Kathy again.
Yeah, we lost Kathy again, but again, the key is let's get those people connected. Let's take an opportunity to look at all those that are unconnected and get them connected. And that concludes Behind the Branches for this week.
And if you can connect Kathy to this live cast, you gain 10 points. The special challenge.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, let's see. What do you think? Let's go with the question of the week.
Okay, let's do the question of the week. And guess what?
same.
It is Irish. So I did a little looking, and I will tell you, probably like most Americans, and I'm really interested in Patty's input from this. Most Americans, we claim Irish. But a lot of Americans are really probably Scotch-Irish, and a lot of Americans claim Scottish. And again, a lot of Americans are probably Scotch-Irish. So there's a combination of both. But we do love celebrating our Irish roots here in the States. Did a little bit of analyzing with bringing out my college statistics brain, which did not really do well in grades. But let's talk a little bit about what everybody was talking about with Irish roots. And when it comes time for Patty to talk about the Ireland project and all the interesting ways to research Ireland, these stats are going to make a lot more sense. So it seems that a lot of people, of course, answered that they have Irish roots, but there was about 10% that said they're unsure. And some of those 10% were unsure because they weren't sure if it was Irish or Scots-Irish. So there's a little confusion there with what the difference is. And then, interesting enough, the people that responded, this is just people who had a chance to respond to this question of the week. Overwhelmingly, 70% of these individuals that responded, their ancestors went to America. We have a few that went, about 15% that went to Canada. And then, of course, the one that most people maybe don't realize, but if you do enough genealogy, especially with Irish, Australia had a lot of immigration to Australia is going through. What was fascinating to me is the timeline. So, Patty, what century would you guess most of the immigrants from Irish left Ireland?
We had a research party on Discord on Wednesday, and I thought I'd be able to help lots of people, and the vast majority had ancestors who'd left before 1800 or the early 1800s.
Yeah.
Maybe they were only there because it gets difficult to research when you go back that far, and it's easier for the most recent immigrants.
And
But
that is
50% before 1800, 50% after 1800.
Yeah, that's about it. 25% gave around 1700s, but keep in mind that was the top end of the 1700s, and then about 60 to 75%. I'm guessing, and again, these are just the answers here. Or 1800s. They all around that time they all mentioned the famine and the immigration of famine, and very few said 1900s. Only about 5%, I think about 5%, one or two answers said that they immigrated, the immigration into the United States in 1900s. I didn't expect that. I expect a lot of 1800s and some 1700s. And a lot of people are just unsure of where their roots truly are. But one thing did come clear, and I'm going to guess this is from either family stories or continuing on with their family history. Irish Catholic, about 55% said that they were Irish Catholic. And we had about 30% said that they believe they're Ulster Scots, which will be your Scots Irish. And here's where I think the struggle comes in for Ireland research. That overwhelmingly, and I won't even give you a percentage of what I think it was, overwhelmingly, they just say Ireland. My ancestors came from Ireland. They don't know a county. They don't know a city. Is that pretty typical what you find from
the people researching
outside of Ireland?
The county is very often County Cork, because Cork was the main port for transatlantic immigration. So they heard my ancestor left from Cork and presumed that they lived in Cork, but they could have traveled from any part of Ireland to get the boat out of Cork. Yeah,
and that's still a struggle for researching, because can you look at some names and realize that's probably not Cork?
Oh, you can, yeah.
Okay.
There were great old maps. That was a talk during the week where the speaker said that the earliest maps of Ireland just had names of people to indicate what family or what surname lived in each part of the county before they started putting in the roads and the towns, or before there were any towns. And there's still lots of great surname maps. And
yeah,
you can look at those to see what part of the country your ancestor is likely to have come from.
That's what I've used to trace my stepfamily side, is the surname map. And it was a gold mine for me when I first started looking, because it would be the same if somebody came to the United States and said, I have a Smith, and they were born in the United States. It's near impossible.
If it's a Kelly or a Murphy, it's just as bad as a Smith.
So just saying that. Now, since we're talking about research, not surprisingly, 85% mentioned difficulty in tracing their roots in Ireland. And Patty, would that be because of something called a fire?
Or two. There were two
People
fires,
don't remember,
right?
you have to do your homework first. Find who your migrant ancestor was, and find the marriage and the death records and anything you can about them in the country where they landed, and see what information that gives on parents, or on more precise birthplaces, county, parish, or whatever. Find their tombstones, because very often they have the parish or the townland engraved on the tombstone in America. The spelling may be completely garbled, but we might recognize it. But yes, we lost a lot of records, and it wasn't all due to one fire. The censuses were taken from 1821 every 10 years, and those from 1861, 1871, 1881, and 1891 were pulped during a paper shortage during the First World War, because some civil servant in Dublin talked to some civil servant in London and said, do we need to keep these records? And the guy in London said, we've destroyed our household returns. But what he didn't realize was, in England, the enumerators copied all the returns into enumerators' books, and they have survived. In Ireland, the enumerators' books had already been disposed of, so then everything was gone.
Wow.
And then in 1922, during the Civil War, one side took possession of the Public Record Office, where the census returns from 1821, 31, 41, and 51 were stored. The other side attacked the building, and it went up in smoke, and we lost those 4 census returns. And we also lost a lot of Church of Ireland parish records, and a lot of other older records, but they're the 2 major losses for those trying to trace immigrants from the 19th century.
Wow.
The lucky thing was, when the Church of Ireland ceased to be the state church, all the birth, marriage, and death records were supposed to be placed in the Public Record Office. About a third of parishes placed the originals and didn't keep copies. About a third of parishes made copies before they deposited the originals, and about a third of parishes didn't deposit anything. So you can still find Church of Ireland records from before 1870 was disestablishment for some parishes, but a lot of them are gone. There were no Catholic records in the Public Record Office because the Catholic Church was not the state church in those days.
So the Catholic record still exists.
Catholic records, they were hard to keep because of the penal laws. The Catholic religion was outlawed in the 1600s and 1700s. But from the early 1800s on, most parishes have Catholic parish records. The other thing to remember is they don't all survive from the same date. An awful lot of people will look at indexes to parish registers and they'll find somebody with the right name and say that must be my ancestor because it's the only one in this database with the right name at the right time. But they don't realize 2 parishes away, the records may not have survived or may not have been kept. So beware of that possibility as well.
Now, another question I want to ask you, Patty, because I know this well from conversations with you. DNA could really help. And a lot of the answers mentioned, well, my DNA, and again, that's ethnicity that you're looking at when you look at the DNA results, is that you're 25% or 50% Irish, whatever it may be. Keep in mind that for right now, I'm not going to discuss ethnicity. That's a little, how do I say it? It's a little different than the pure tracing of DNA. So, Patty, in Ireland, do a lot of people DNA test?
I have tried to recruit as many as I can. Quite a lot have, yes. And it can give very specific results. Ancestry DNA has these percentages for large areas, but if you drill down further, it can break them down into much smaller areas. On our last WikiTree challenge, I came up with a candidate for Sarah Cochrane's ancestor. All she had the county. She had Martin Scanlon born in County Clare. I found one Martin Scanlon in the land records at the right time. And then I looked at Sarah's grandmother's DNA results, and they were almost down to the parish where this Martin Scanlon had lived, down to the northwest Shannon Estuary, which is about 30 miles across is the area on the map. So it can get as specific as a 15-mile radius. That is a peninsula sticking out into the Atlantic with a lot of endogamy, so it's probably easier to be specific when you're looking at something like that than somewhere in the Midlands where people can move more easily in every direction.
So if I am watching this broadcast from Ireland, what DNA company would you suggest first or second or third?
I would say get on all the DNA websites. I helped a lady called Mrs. Murphy once, so I called Murphy's Law. She was looking for her birth parents, and it turned out that she had full siblings. And she had her DNA on Ancestry and MyHeritage and Family Tree DNA and GEDmatch and Living DNA. And her full brother had his DNA on 23andMe.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Yeah.
It took them about 2 years longer to find each other than it should have taken.
Right.
Okay, so if you're in Ireland right now and you're watching this, please, Patty recommends DNA testing. And I will tell you, those of us that have Irish heritage around the globe would much appreciate it.
Yeah, I know I would.
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't it be great? Let me go over just a few of the answers from Questions of the Week. I just wanted to point this lovely, lovely picture out. This is from M. Ross. And one reason why I wanted to point this picture out, because it's lovely. I love seeing the dress of the time from a different country that you might not be familiar with. But what was interesting is that you mentioned, endogamy, I mentioned pedigree collapse. The Darcy family, several members who married into various branches of the Shaughnessy family. So this is a phenomenon that happens everywhere. A lot of times we think it's only America, Appalachia, Italy, things like that. But this happens a lot, the intermarriage into families. And then I want to share Alexis Nelson. She always gives great photos. This photo, so her second great grandmother was born in Galway, and when she was a teenager, her and her sister were able to leave on a mercy ship due to the potato famine. And that's where we're finding a lot of answers that their ancestors left due to the famine. The one thing I want to point out here that is really interesting that a lot of people don't know. Everybody assumes that the immigration is coming straight into Boston or New York. Everybody hears about New York immigration. New Orleans and Galveston, Louisiana and Galveston, Texas were large ports that had immigrants come in as well. So she took a trip to New Orleans, and I just wanted to point this out that this is an engraving photo. This is not AI. This is not something she created. And it's depicting a grieving family during the potato famine, basically leaving their homeland. If you think about how hard it would be to leave, how much money it will cost, this was a mercy ship. The chances of coming back and resettling in your home country were low. So I think that picture really hits home to what the Irish immigrants and those left behind faced. And I think that was a lovely picture. And a lot of brick walls. Daddy, I'll just tell you, a lot of brick walls coming up. And then here's the DNA. According to Ancestry, almost 50% of my DNA is from Ireland and Scotland with 36. So what does that, kind of make me? And a lot of people will assume Ulster Scots, but that's not always the case. Is it, Patty?
No. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention there. I was reading the next comment.
Well, I think a lot of people assume if they have some Scotch DNA and some Irish DNA, and keep in mind that I don't know if they're assuming they're Ulster.
Ireland are just 13 miles, I think, across the North Channel between Larne and Stranraer, or whatever the two closest points were. So there was a lot of migration back and forth forever. And we speak very similar languages. Scots Gaelic and the Irish Gaelic language are very similar. We can kind of understand each other. So the DNA is very similar as well.
So then
and then we had the plantations in the 1600s, which brought a lot of Scottish people into Northern Ireland again.
So I can use not only the surname map, but also the DNA to maybe pinpoint some of my Irish people.
Yes. And even the surname structure is similar. A surname beginning with Mac can be either Irish or Scottish.
And I wanted to point this one. Hello. Do I have any Irish roots? My mother's family is all Irish, but I love this because we have names.
Yeah.
We have interesting names and interesting city names, which I won't try to pronounce because I will get it wrong. But it looks like a lot of names that came over and settled in the northeast part of the United States. And then just one more. I love this photo. This photo is awesome. So this is my Hillary line from County Clare. Ireland has a succession of doctors, which is now a nice Gothic mansion museum in Ontario, Canada. So bringing this back around to Canada and to Greg. So I love this picture. It's just beautiful. But thank you, Rob, for sharing a Canadian connection that we have with Ireland. So we do love celebrating our Irish roots around the globe.
Mm-hmm.
We still have a lot of Hillary doctors. Dr. Paddy Hillary went into politics as a medical doctor and became our president in the 1970s and 1980s. And there are lots of doctors in his extended family.
I have Quakers from Ireland.
Quakers, you're very lucky because the Quakers kept great records and they've all survived and they're on Find My Past.
Yeah, and I've got a big gap now between like 1750 and 1850 though, because they left the sect. So, I can trace them from 1700 to about 1750 when the Quaker records were there, and then they married out of meeting and.
Even the ones who married out had nasty comments about them written in the records.
Yeah, they vanished into the diaspora.
We have great coverage on WikiTree of Irish Quakers. We have one Quaker coming up in the profiles of the week.
Nice.
Awesome.
I think Vicky is frozen as well, is she?
Looks
Very, very educational. Now, Patty, my DNA results shows my ethnicity. I know we didn't want to talk much about that, but I got 1%. 1% from Ireland. Yes. Yes. What are my chances of finding out who is that 1%?
You're Irish.
You're Irish. Go for it.
I should have 3%. Statistically, I should have 3% because I have 2 fourth great grandfathers, yes, and who were Irish. But in my heritage, you get the report, the ethnicity report, and at the end you see other groups, and those are groups that maybe scored less than 1%, or for what I know. And there it shows specifically Ireland, and it says Tipperary, Tipperary or Dublin, but it says Tipperary, and that's where one of my ancestors comes from, and he's my favorite brick wall, and it will still be a brick wall because of the lack of registers.
Yeah,
but well, that's it.
Yeah, and I'll take that corned beef and cabbage. Thank you. I love it. That's one of my favorite dishes.
That's great.
I always tell people that the DNA percentages are like an opinion poll before an election.
Exactly.
And the laws here say you must tell people when you report the opinion poll what the margin of error is, and it's plus or minus 3% or something usually, but it's bigger than that for the small DNA percentages.
Mm-hmm.
Because recombination is random. You might have 6% from a great-great-great-grandparent, or you might have nothing from a great-great-great-grandparent.
Uh-huh. Yes, that's right.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Cool. What do you say? Do we keep talking about Ireland, please? Because I love it. Do we go on with our profiles of the week? Because Greg, I still haven't shown the profile makeovers. I will leave that for the end.
Okay then, super. Okay, thank you. Because obviously I was driving from Toronto, so I did not have the LiveCast on. So I'm just diving in, and glad someone else is driving the podcast or the Roundup today. Okay then, so moving on to the profiles of the week, and again, as I was away, Patty, I'm going to leave
my screen.
Well, I can share. Well, actually, if you want to share your screen, and you want, I was going to say I was going to let you drive. So if you want to share, I will switch to your screen, and I'll hide mine. Let's see. Stop sharing and start sharing. I'll let you drive, Patty. You go ahead.
Okay, am I up there? So
You're up there.
12 Irish-born people this week.
Yeah.
2 living, 10 deceased. And I will, first of all, see which I'm closest to. Arthur Guinness at 14 degrees.
Wow. Yeah.
Excellent.
That will vary, but I bet everyone is furthest from Brian Boru at 28 degrees, because he was the first of these. He died in the year 1014 AD, so it's hard to get any closer than 28 degrees to somebody who died that long ago.
Right. Yeah. He's I'm 31 degrees from Brian, and my closest is interestingly enough is a Douglas, which is my biological last name.
I can't figure out where Douglas got his first name from. So he's 8 from Arthur Guinness. That's the closest match between the two of them. So Brian Boru was the High King of Ireland. He was killed in the Battle of Clontarf on Good Friday, 1014, the 23rd of April. So Easter was late that year.
And it wasn't a particularly good Friday for him.
It wasn't. And he was 73, so he wasn't even fighting in the battle. And his side won the battle against the Norsemen, but unfortunately the leader, who was in a tent presiding over affairs, one of the Norsemen sneaked in and killed him. Broder, I think, was the name of the Norseman who killed him. So Brian's palace was in Killaloe, which is right across the river from where I'm living. We had a new bridge across the river opened last May, and it's called the Brian Boru Bridge.
Oh.
And there were no surnames in Brian Boru's day. His father was Canadic, which is the equivalent of Kennedy today. So if there were surnames before his time, he might have been a Kennedy. But the earliest surname in Ireland is claimed to be O'Brien, which means a descendant of Brian, which are the descendants of this Brian Boru. And we have one of the longest Y-DNA lines represented on WikiTree, because Brian Boru's descendants continued to be kings and princes, and then after the English took over, had English peerages. And Conor O'Brien, who died a couple of years ago, was a great fan of genetic genealogy. He was the Baron in Chiquin, and he signed up with all the DNA websites, and I was actually able to get him added to WikiTree after he died with all his DNA details. So that Y-DNA line goes all the way back to 1014.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I was going to say, I just looked at my connection and I've got a full bloodline, and almost all of them are proven. Is this common?
Yes, this is very common. My good friend Mark Humphreys has a wonderful website, humphreysfamilytree.com. And way back in 2010, I think he wrote this article. Ryan Tubridy is one of our well-known television and radio presenters. And he was on the Who Do You Think You Are program when there was an Irish series. And the presenters and producers traced his ancestry back to Brian Boru. But if you think of how many ancestors we have, 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, you go back 10 degrees, you have 1,024 ancestors. 10 generations before that, 1,024 by 1,024 is about 1 million. So we're all about 30 degrees from Brian Boru. 30 generations is about 1 billion slots to fill in your family tree. Certainly if you're from Ireland, Brian Boru is going to appear many times in those 1 billion slots. So pretty much Brian Boru, and anyone who was alive in 1014 and has descendants alive today, is the ancestor of everyone alive today, at least in a small area like Ireland or even Western Europe. Maybe not if we look at other continents. So I said, when Brian Boru was a profile of the week, let's see, can we find anybody who is not descended from Brian Boru, who has deep ancestry on. I put up this challenge last night, which you can read about on G2G. And when I got up this morning, 2 people had already cracked it. One was Greg Discord, and the other was Kathy Benson, who both have ancestry going back way beyond 1014, in fact, to the year 350 on WikiTree, and they're not descendants from Brian. So the challenge now is find Greg's line of descent from Brian Boru and find Kathy Benson's line of descent from Brian Boru. It must be there. It should be on WikiTree. But because of the lack of records in the 1700s and 1800s, it's very hard to find these connections.
Yeah. I don't know what my royalty line is.
Well, I have a connection thanks to Hal Blackhall, who I talked about in last week's LiveCast, and there is one question mark, but I'm connected on WikiTree with that one question mark all the way back to Brian Boru.
Nice.
The next one is Jonathan Swift, who spent a lot of his time in England, was a well-known writer, probably all familiar with Gulliver's Travels. He was a clergyman in the Church of Ireland. He was the Dean of St. Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin. Somebody asked in the comments, what does DST stand for in his name? Obviously not daylight savings time.
No.
Sure. I thought it might be a doctor of sacred theology or something like that. And I asked Google AI, and it said maybe it's Divinitatis Scientiae Templum, or Doctor of Sacred Theology. But I also asked Google over in Chrome, and it gave me a different answer to the same question.
Well, of course.
The Latin version, Decana Sanctae Patricii. But why would DST be an abbreviation for DSP? I think Google AI is hallucinating.
Yeah.
But if anybody can figure out exactly what it stands for, let us know. It is on his tombstone. Here is an article on JSTOR, which has a translation, the print is very small, of his tombstone inscription. Here is laid the body of Jonathan Swift, DST, Dean of this cathedral church, where savage indignation can no longer tear his heart. Depart, wayfarer, and imitate, if you can, a man who to his utmost strenuously championed liberty. The other thing I was going to point out on his pedigree chart, there's still a question mark about his spouse. He had two lady friends, Stella and Vanessa, with whom he corresponded extensively. There are rumors that he was secretly married to Stella, who lived mostly in Dublin. Vanessa lived mostly in London. So at one stage, apparently, Stella, I think, was connected on WikiTree as his spouse, but she's been disconnected because there's no proof. So I don't know whether we'll ever prove that.
And no children?
No children, no. That would kind of raise the suspicion that he might have been married, or allow you to add one of them anyway, but there were definitely no children, whatever about a secret marriage.
This is my favorite profile of the week.
The Guinness?
You like Guinness?
Is that because of the beer or what?
Of course.
You
Beer.
can't keep
I
Guinness
love
when
Guinness.
when we met up last year, didn't you?
Yes. Yes. I
Arthur Guinness founded the Guinness Brewery in 1759, which is still on the same site in St. James's Gate in Dublin, and founded a large dynasty of Guinnesses. And when I look at my connections every week, I find I go through the Darley and the Guinness family at some stage. So I thought I'd show a little tip. The Darleys were stonemasons when there were no concrete blocks, and being a stonemason was a valuable trade. And they moved from County Down in the north of Ireland to Dublin. And somehow they started marrying Guinnesses all the time. So here's the connection finder between Henry Darley, the patriarch of the Darleys, and Arthur Guinness, the patriarch of the Guinnesses. So Arthur's sister was married to Henry's grandson. So they're 4 degrees apart. We take that one out of the line. Arthur's daughter, Elizabeth, was married to a Darley. They're 5 degrees apart based on that one. We take Elizabeth out. Arthur's grandson, Richard, was married to Mary Darley. They're 6 degrees apart on that connection.
Oh my goodness.
We take Richard out. Arthur's granddaughter, Susan, was married to John Darley. They're 7 degrees apart on that one.
Wow. They just can't stay away from each other.
Susan out. Arthur's grandson, William, was married to Susan Darley, 7 degrees apart again.
Wow.
If we take William out, Arthur's great-grandson, Edward, was married to Adelaide Guinness, who was undoubtedly his own cousin through one of the previous marriages. So that's a 9-degree connection.
Wow.
If we take Edward out, Arthur's great-granddaughter, Mary, was married to a Guinness, another Guinness to Guinness marriage, 10 degrees.
Wow.
It stops eventually. Here's where you have to go through more than one marriage to connect them.
Wow.
So those were 2 families which were intermarried over and over again.
Wow.
It reminds me of 2 families in my own tree, the Dundons and the Frosts. And there's about the same number of marriages between the Dundons and the Frosts. And I met a Mrs. Dundon years ago, and she said, yes, the Dundons were frostbitten.
That's great.
So where did I learn all about the Darleys? I only connected up Darleys who were unconnected, well, not connected to their common ancestor on WikiTree a couple of weeks ago. So I thought I'd give you another good source, certainly for families from Dublin, YouWho.ie. 2 ladies on the south side of Dublin. It's mostly upper middle class and gentry families who lived in big houses on the outskirts of the city, but they have some wonderful family trees, including the whole story of the Darley family. I don't have links to sources, but they have dates and places of marriages and births and deaths and so on. So it's easy to find the sources, and it seems very accurate. So that's one if you have ancestors from Dublin who lived in suburbia, you might be interested in. We need John Tyner on to talk about the next one. Edward Porter Cowan from Belfast was a whiskey maker or a distiller, I suppose. he got a knighthood. He became the mayor of Belfast, and John has a nice picture of the advertisement for Cowan's Whiskies. Whiskies, IES. If you read it carefully, no, it was Sandy added this, not John.
You know what? This is really interesting because I know that you love this as well. John Tyner was rocked, and I created this profile while rocking John Tyner.
Oh, nice.
Well done. I was giving John all the credit because he's the manager now.
Well, he's the closest in checkers this week. He's 6 degrees.
Yeah, I'm
which
just
is unheard of.
6 is amazing. So what's the connection? How is he, like, is he a direct descendant?
I'll show that in a second. I was just going to point out that he made both Irish whiskey and Scotch whiskey.
Yes.
And they're even spelled differently. Irish whiskey has an E, Scotch whiskey has no E. So it's unusual to find the same person distilling both.
I know my whiskey.
Edward Cowan's granddaughter Lettuce married Wilfred Hutton, who is John Tyner's great uncle.
Wow.
So 6 degrees. So well within the scope of Rock.
Wow. Now, does he get a case of whiskey every Christmas? Not that close.
John can tell us that in the chat.
Well, that's a good question. Is it still around?
I don't think it's. I'd never heard of Cowan's whiskey, so I suspect it may not be around. All the Irish distilleries were amalgamated into Irish distillers back around the 1960s, I think. I think that covered both. May only been the distilleries in the Republic, may have included the North. I'm not sure. We still have Bushmills in the North, but I don't drink whiskey. I don't drink Guinness. I know nothing about the subjects.
Yeah, I know.
Abraham Stoker, known as Bram Stoker for short, is known as the author of Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
And like several of these, he was born in Ireland and emigrated. In his case, he moved to England in his 20s or 30s. I forget exactly when. So that's where Dracula was published. He did publish one book in Ireland, very dull and boring book, but useful to genealogists, The Duties of Clerks of Petty Sessions. And some of the Irish genealogical records that have survived are those from the Petty Sessions courts, which all follow the rules that Abraham Stoker drew up for how they were to be operated and how the records were to be kept. So if you've ever looked at Petty Sessions records on Find My Past or any of the other websites they're on, you can thank Bram Stoker for how well documented those courts are. Nice. We talked last week about the Landmarks 1900 project, and I said last week 4 of the featured profiles qualified for it. Bram Stoker is another one who qualifies. He was born in 1847, died in 1912, so he's alive throughout 1900, and every landmark has to be more than 7 degrees from every other. Bram has no ancestors or cousins or landmarks, and he's 13 degrees from the nearest one. So if anyone wants to select him as their landmark for the Landmarks 1900 project, he's open for selection. Oscar Fingal O'Flaherty Wilde, another famous writer. When I was at school, one of our set texts was The Importance of Being Earnest. One of the funniest things I've ever read. Still, every single line would have you laughing at the puns, etc. Born in Dublin, also left Ireland, went to France, went to England first, married to Constance Mary Lloyd, then had a homosexual relationship with Sir Alfred Douglas, which was illegal at the time, and he was prosecuted in court and sentenced to jail for gross indecency. And the family were so ashamed of him that his wife and their 2 children changed their surname from Wilde to Holland to hide the connection. I think the grandchildren became more proud of their grandfather and his amazing writings afterwards. So for the Landmarks 1900 project, sorry, I meant to do that. He doesn't qualify because by 1 month, he died on the 30th of November 1900. Oops. The landmark must be alive throughout the entire year.
Missed it by that much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Next one is George Bernard Shaw, another writer, again born in Dublin, again moved to England where he did most of his writing, lived to the age of 94, is still producing plays at the age of 94.
That's amazing.
Here's his pedigree chart with his father, George Carr Shaw, ticked as certain. Unfortunately, the biography is rather short on WikiTree, only about 3 paragraphs, but he has a much more extensive biography on Wikipedia, which explains that his father was an alcoholic and his mother was a singer and a musician and had a music teacher called George John Lee, who ended up living with the Shaw family. And his mother had become close to her music teacher, a flamboyant figure well known in Dublin's music circles. And the son, George Bernard Shaw, retained a lifelong obsession that Lee might have been his biological father. And there's no consensus among Shavian scholars on the likelihood of this. Shaw even has his own adjective to describe those who've studied his life. So there are links there to various biographies that discuss that. So I don't know why we don't have a question mark rather than a tick for the parentage on WikiTree. Unfortunately, Shaw was cremated. He did have relationships with several women, but it is said that his marriage to his wife was never consummated. He certainly had no children. So there's no DNA from his bones because they're cremated or from his descendants because he didn't have any. So we will never know whether his father was Mr. Shaw or Mr. Lee. My good friend Paul O'Brien wrote the story of George John Vandeleur Lee, the possible father, whose legal parents were Robert and Eliza Lee, although he too had a question mark over his paternity because he claimed to be the natural child of Colonel Crofton Moore Vandeleur of Kilrush House, County Clare, and may have benefited financially from a Vandeleur settlement.
Wow. So
we don't know whether George Lee had any other children either. Maybe we can find descendants to test that hypothesis by DNA, but the Shaw-Lee connection will never be proven.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And Shaw is remembered for his writings, but he's especially remembered in Ireland for what he did with the vast earnings he had from his writings. There are still royalties coming in many years after his death. He was the only person before Bob Dylan who had both an Oscar and a Nobel Prize.
Right.
So his Oscar was for My Fair Lady, I think, was the film, and Pygmalion was the original name of the play on which it was based. So he did the script for the film. So he left 1/3 of his posthumous royalties to the National Gallery of Ireland in Dublin. So he's very much acknowledged there for keeping that institution going. The money is still flowing in many years later.
From the film?
From all his works.
Oh, from all his works. Oh, wow.
He was publishing from a very young age up to the age of 94, dozens and dozens of plays and books, and probably many of them still in print, I think.
That's amazing.
And still being performed on the stage. So he was also alive throughout 1900, and he's eligible for the Landmarks 1900 project. On that basis, if we look at my connections, he had lots of ancestors and cousins. So his maternal grandmother, Lucinda, does not have any deep ancestry on WikiTree, and she's 10 degrees away from the nearest landmark. So George is at least 8 degrees away, so he qualifies. Douglas Hyde was the first president of Ireland, the president of what's now the Republic of Ireland, the 26 counties. The Irish Free State had a Governor General who was the representative of the King in Ireland. But when Eamon de Valera came to power, he brought in a new constitution in 1937, severed the connections with the Crown in England, and set up the office of a directly elected president. And that constitution is condemned for highlighting the special position of the Catholic Church in Ireland, which was removed in a referendum after a couple of decades. But despite that, the first president-elected, Douglas Hyde, was a descendant of a long string of Protestant clergymen, all called Arthur Hyde. His first 4 male line ancestors were all called Arthur Hyde, and I think all 4 were Protestant clergymen.
Wow.
But
Wow.
Douglas was very much behind the Gaelic revival or the Celtic revival, trying to revive the Irish language, Irish music, Irish theatre, other Irish traditions. And had been a member, I think, of the Free State Senate. When he died in 1949, he served 1 term, I think, so a 7-year term from 1938 to 45. He lived another 4 years. And all the Irish government wanted to go to the funeral, but it was still a mortal sin in the eyes of the Catholic Church to set foot in a Protestant church in those days. So the government ministers lined up outside the church and were not allowed in.
That is so sad.
It is.
So things have changed completely now. And we had Erskine Childers subsequently, another Church of Ireland president whose father had been executed for his part in the Civil War. So,
Wow.
and I lived in America. I got annoyed every time I read an article about what was going on in Northern Ireland at the time, and it would try to break everything down into a battle between Catholics and Protestants. It was a lot more complicated than religion, and both religions were on both sides of the equation.
Right.
Yeah, wow.
So Douglas was also alive in 1900, and he can also be a landmark. These are his mother's connections, because he has deep WikiTree ancestry on his father's side, and she's at least 12 degrees away from all the other landmarks. I actually was friends in college when we were studying mathematics with Douglas's great-granddaughter. I sent her a message on Facebook this morning, said, any stories about your illustrious great-grandfather that I can tell? And she said, no, nothing that's not known in the public world. Ernest Henry Shackleton was famous as an explorer of the Antarctic. He was born in a little place in County Kildare called Kilkea, spelled Kilkea. I spent all my holidays in a little place in County Clare called Kilkee, spelled Kilkee. The people in County Clare heard about this famous man from a place that sounded the same and claimed him as their own, to the extent that there's a little row of houses in County Clare called Shackleton Terrace after the man born in the other Kilkee.
In the other, that's amazing.
Wow.
And we even have a Chilean connection. He made several expeditions to the Antarctic, and he was rescued at one stage on the Chilean ship, the Yelko, and transported to Chile and treated to a hero's welcome. So I'm certainly very familiar with reading books about Atlantic exploration with Ernest, but I've read even more about the other Irishman who helped him along the way, Thomas Green from County Kerry. And I just thought I'd say, we really need somebody to do something with Thomas Green's WikiTree profile. He has no parents, he has no spouse, he has no children, and he has a 2-line biography.
He's just
somebody
all by himself.
It's so sad.
In the biography, he's the one who led. They ended up in a lifeboat making their way to South Georgia, and they landed on the south coast of South Georgia, and they knew there was a whaling station on the north coast, and it was a 32-mile trek across glaciers or something, which they did in a day and a half to get help for the others that they had left stranded on the Antarctic ice shelf. But I also am interested in Ernest's brother, who was the black sheep of the family. Another connection here. Let's scroll down and find what happened. Francis. He was suspected but officially cleared in the theft of the Irish crown jewels in 1907.
Oh, really?
He swindled Lord Ronald Gower and others out of their money and was tried and sentenced to 18 months of hard labour at Reading Jail in England during 1913 to 1914. And the blame for the theft, he was working in Dublin Castle where the crown jewels were locked up, and the blame for the theft was placed on Sir Arthur Vickers, who was his boss. And Sir Arthur Vickers made a will. And when it was proved, it should have become a public record, as all wills do. But it was ruled by the probate court that his will should be sealed. And back in the 1970s, my father became the probate officer in the courts. And every new probate officer who was appointed, the journalist would come in and say, when are we going to see Vickers' will? So Damien McHugh came to my father and said, can we see Vickers' will? And my father went to the probate judge in the High Court, having looked at the will, and said, I think we should publish this. So it was released. This was in September 1976. It got a big splash in the newspapers. And the controversial section, which had been redacted, stated, the left-hand column there, I might have had more to dispose of had it not been for the outrageous way in which I was treated by the Irish government over the loss of the Irish crown jewels in 1907, backed up by the late King Edward VII, whom I had always loyally and faithfully served. When I was made a scapegoat to save other departments responsible, and when they shielded the real culprit and thief, Francis R. Shackleton, brother of the explorer, who didn't reach the South Pole.
Oh, wow.
Shackleton never made it to the pole.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa.
So that is the Shackleton family.
Wow.
Shackleton's Henry Gavin is Shackleton's maternal grandfather, and he is 9 degrees from the nearest landmark, and Shackleton is 8 degrees, I think. So he qualifies as well as a landmark if anyone wants to select him.
Wow. And your connection to that story. That's amazing.
Maureen Fitzsimons became Maureen O'Hara. She was born on the 17th of August 1920 in Ranelagh. It says County Dublin. It's really Dublin City nowadays. May have been outside the city limits when she was born. Died in Idaho in 2015. Again, emigrated from Ireland, became a famous Hollywood actor. Never got an Oscar. I think got an honorary Oscar or something late in life. Moved back to Ireland. So again, I'm going to plug all my own connections. When she was 92, she was going to move back from Ireland to be nearer her daughter in America. So she came back to visit the church where she had been baptized in 1920, across from her birthplace in Beechwood Avenue in Ranelagh. And there she is standing at the baptismal font in Beechwood Avenue Church, the Church of the Holy Name. And that's where I was baptized. So that's probably the baptismal font in which I was baptized.
Wow. That's very cool.
I said to Greg, I'll let you do the last two.
Oh,
you didn't get that message. No. I've very little to say about the two who are still living. Liam Neeson, another well-known actor, still living, born in the north of Ireland, Ballymena, brought up a Catholic in a very Protestant town during the Troubles in Northern Ireland, and is now living in the States and is a proud US citizen. Does it say that? In 2009, he said, I'm still a proud Irishman, of course, but I've become an American citizen. I'm very, very proud of that. I know almost as little about film as I do about alcohol. The last one I'd never even heard of, Geraldine Agnew Somerville, born in the 1960s in County Meath in Ireland, to a father from the Isle of Man and a mother from England. And she is known as Lily Potter in the Harry Potter series of films. But she doesn't have deep Irish ancestry, unlike the rest of these. So I counted up, there's 2 still alive, 5 who emigrated and died overseas, 1 who died in Northern Ireland, 1 killed in battle, Brian Boru in the Republic of what's now the Republic, and 3 others out of the 10 died in their beds in the Republic of Ireland. So that is probably. We've done a good job of pretending to be Greg.
Yes, statistics.
Job, Patty. Wow.
Great stats.
We need a guest profiler, more often. This is great.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I was late and I was able to pass this off to you. You did a fantastic job. Thank you, Patty, for all of that. Thank you.
I think we'll have to add a section to our livecast about the landmarks. Because Patty has been promoting that 2 weeks already. So
I have
That's
been
good.
discussing with Bernard on Discord whether we should get involved with the featured profiles of the week. I think we should, and Bernard thinks no.
Oh,
So we
let's see.
can outvote him.
yeah. Well, even just commenting like you had, the ones that are eligible for that.
Yeah.
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 I said we will have somewhat achieved our objective when we have 12 featured profiles, none of whom are eligible to be added as landmarks, or
Because they're
where
too
the
close.
where
Yes.
the eligible ones on the basis of being alive in 1900 already are within 7 degrees of a landmark.
That's right.
We will have weeks when there's no featured profile alive in 1900 if we're doing
Mhm.
the Thanksgiving Pilgrim settlers in America or something. None of those are going to qualify in date grants.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
Hey, Patty, we've had some great comments for you. I hope you saw that on screen.
No, I can't watch the comments while I'm watching the profiles.
Well, no, I just put them on screen. Anne says, wow, congrats, Patty. Great job, Patty, says John. Maggie says, always a delight.
Mhm.
Yes,
Thank you.
Amanda. Hey, Patty.
Mhm.
Great. So thank you. That was great. Hey,
Excellent.
Tia.
Good job.
Wow, good job. Great.
Mhm.
Great job.
I guess I've been fired. That's okay.
No.
Ah,
No.
Well, no, we'll have to time it back and see, did I do it any quicker or slower than
Yeah.
Greg?
Yeah, that's
Yes, you did. You did.
I think you did. Okay, Greg, we have to talk.
okay. We have to talk. Okay.
Should we? Do we want to see the profile makeover?
Sure.
I have 2 profiles to show. Would you please add my screen?
Yes. You switch your screen, and there we go.
Yes. Well, we have 2 profiles. The first one I'm going to show is from. Oh no, this is the first one. This is from Anita Greenlee, a new participants. We have 2 new participants today for the Profile Makeover Challenge. And this is the profile of her husband's second great-grandmother, Maria Stanton. Well, you can see this is the before. And we had a very decent number of sources, but just a short biography and a couple of photographs, which for some, it may be the average profile that many people have under their list. But now we have this profile with a background photograph, which is the photo of her name written by her, by Maria, when she was Maria Joy, because that was the name of her first husband. She married twice. First husband was Dudley Marvin Joy, and the second one was Rachel Kimball Stanton. And sorry. So now we have a long biography. Anita did a great job writing this. Maria was born in England in 1831, and when she was 11, she and her family emigrated to America, and that trip took six weeks. Maria had 8 children with her first husband, and the husband joined the 13th Regiment of Michigan's company, but he died in New York, leaving Maria to raise 6 children all by herself. That's a sad story. Well, she helped raise her granddaughters, and after that she married again. So she passed away in 1911 in Michigan in her house. So now we have a photograph of Maria and her second husband. This was taken by their grandson. There is Maria. So thank you, Anita, for this first profile makeover. I hope you join again. I hope you enjoyed the challenge. And the second one, this is the before picture. I know it's cut down here, but this is all. The important is that this biography was just not even one line. It says Maud was born in 1886 and she passed away in 1961. And I bet there's so much more to say about a person than that. So so Hilary Moldovan, which is her granddaughter, took the challenge of making over that profile, and she gave a proper profile to her maternal grandmother. And Hilary says, remember, this month is Women's History Month. So Hilary chose this profile because she says that her mother used to say that they come from a long line of ladies who knew their minds. So that's why she chose this profile. Maud Winifred Seavey. And this is the Hilary's grandmother. She used sections to write down her biography. Well, Maud, after she married, she used to work. They had she operated a small general store in the front of their house in Pueblo. Where is Pueblo? Pueblo. I think it says here. Yeah, I think it's Kansas.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know this, but
should be Colorado.
Colorado, yeah, that's what.
Yeah, where they died. Oh, right. Yes,
more.
Colorado. Yeah, in El Paso, Colorado. And Pueblo, I don't know if you know this, in Spanish, that is town. Town. Yeah. Her husband worked for the railroad, and they had lodgers. Well, they had four children. Yes, 4 children. And here we have Maud. Hilary uploaded great photographs. Here we have Maud with her 2 first kids. And look at this photograph. I know it's torn, but this was their house, their family house. But it's great. You can see the house, and you can see 5 people in the yard. And Hilary used this photograph as the background photo. Do you get that? And it looks so cool. It looks great. It feels kind of a puzzle.
Yeah, now she just needs to check out what that suggestion is and fix that.
Oh, let's see what the suggestion is. I have a keen idea. Inline citation doesn't end with the ref tag. Well, we have to fix that. That's an easy fix.
Yeah, that'd be a
It's
quick and
easy
easy
to
fix. Yeah.
Yes. Well, this is a sad ending, but well, when she was older, Maud was living in other city, different than her children, and she had a grandchild, which is Sally Elaine. And well, Maud was making a trip to visit her daughter and granddaughters, and Maud had a heart condition. She had been warned not to travel, but she told the doctor, "I don't mind if I die, just as long as I do it on the way home." And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. She had a heart attack in Arizona on the drive home, and she never left the hospital, so she died there. Well, that's a great makeover. Thank you, Hilary, for sharing the story of your grandmother and for making such a beautiful profile for her. So congrats. There's still a lot of profiles to see. I think we will have to keep on seeing those profiles in April. So that's it. Just sorry, I'll stop sharing. We haven't celebrated any ancestor this month yet, but I want to celebrate my mother. It's her birthday today, so I'm with her celebrating. So
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
yes, great. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Very
I will
nice.
show this to her.
Very nice.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And oh, is her birthday today?
Today, exactly today. Yes.
Oh, wow. And it would have been my adoptive dad's 109th birthday today.
Wow.
Wow.
Just to realize
Wow, what a coincidence.
Yes.
Great.
That's amazing. Yeah. Because he
Yes.
the 17th was St. Patrick's Day, of course.
Thank you.
The 19th is the feast of St. Joseph, and my dad's name was Patrick Joseph.
Oh,
19th,
Oh,
he
that's
won a nice mathematic
That's
progression.
great.
Well, I was
Hey, thank you,
born-
guys.
I was born on the 13th and St. Patrick's Day the 17th and St. Joseph the 19th. So I'm Patrick Joseph as well.
You're Patrick Joseph as well, but from the
Oh,
opposite direction. The same idea, though.
Same idea. Well, my father
That's
was
great.
Patrick as well.
well, I have to say, we've been talking about Guinness. I've always mentioned that I love beer, though. And I can deny it because I have Irish ancestors, I have German ancestors, so sorry, that's it. My great grandfather, who was German, he had a beer. It wasn't a brewery, but he had like a restaurant, and he sold beer. He was one of the first to sell beer to workers in Chile, in a city. And I want to mention, well, he was German, but I have one of my Irish ancestors. He was called Blessed, and Patty knows about the Blessed because he helped me with that part of the tree when I was rocked, and they were 4 blessed brothers who came to Chile. I don't remember, 3 or 4. Well, one is John Blessed, and he's my 4th great grandfather, and the other one was Andrew Blessed, and he was the first one to have a brewery in Chile. The first beer in Chile was from Andrew Blessed brewery. And the brother John was a politician, and he built or discovered a route to Argentina.
Ooh.
So in Argentina, they founded a little town called Puerto, which is Port Blessed. And now in this place called Puerto Blessed, there's a brewery called Blessed Brewery. So they are all related to beer. And that was my little story.
Oh, that's great.
I tell people sometimes that I'd be a millionaire if I had $1 for every American who said to me, "How can you be Irish when you don't drink?"
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I tell people the reason I don't drink is I found too many alcoholics in my family tree to risk it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, better safe than sorry.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
So-
we've had so much fun with the Irish
Yeah.
connection.
That's great. Yeah. So should we talk about what's coming up next week and whatnot?
Certainly.
We've gone through all the other segments. I haven't missed, or I'm not rushing us.
Nope.
Okay. So Najita G, you've already talked. I'm sure you've already talked about signing up for the Connect-a-thon, right?
Yeah. We kind of sort of mentioned it. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
talked about the Connect-a-thon,
You
but
talked
we
about
didn't. Yes.
Yeah.
But
So
not a
We told
not
people
a
sign up for a Connectors Challenge. We didn't tell them sign up for a Connect-a-thon.
oh, okay.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Connection challenge. Yeah.
You can do both. The Connect-a-thon, of course, is the weekend event that's happening, and this time, this week, it's happening. The
3
event
weeks
starts
time, isn't it?
2 weeks time. Yeah. So it's after Easter. It's the weekend after Easter, right?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah. There's a post here from Chris Whitten that we have an amazing deal on DNA tests from MyHeritage. So you can check that out as well. And as Patty suggested, test in if you test in all the companies, you'll get all the matches. One of the things that's changed with MyHeritage is it used to be the conventional wisdom was if you only had limited funds, you tested Ancestry and 23andMe, because you couldn't share those tests with anywhere else. But other places, including MyHeritage, used to be able to import your DNA from those tests and include it in MyHeritage. They stopped doing that now.
They did, yeah.
So you cannot import other tests into the MyHeritage database anymore. So if you want to test in MyHeritage, and I think Anne Fiordalisi has mentioned that in the chat previously, MyHeritage has a wide clientele in Europe. So especially if you have European ancestry and you want to try and make connections from those cousins, then MyHeritage is a great place to have it. So, and this is a very economical way of doing that.
Can I just interrupt real quick? So after at being at Roots, I had a very, very long conversation with them. I've tested at MyHeritage many years ago. If you tested many years ago, they are requesting you to retest again this year. Their systems, their back end has changed. That's why they're offering this really good deal, because they recognize people like me have already paid and have done this test. But to get the full value, the full I won't go into all the DNA talk, but to recognize the full value of what they're now offering, starting, I think it was January 1st, you have to retest if you have a test with them before.
Right.
Oh.
Yes.
So that's why this is very important. So if you sit there and you say, oh, I've already tested with MyHeritage, that's great. I highly recommend you buy this and retest again and submit it this year. Massive changes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, because you're right. The new test is more of a full genome test.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, there's some specifics and details about that, but you're right. It's basically it's getting more data from your DNA, and I think the initial results don't look a lot different, but what they can do with that in the future will be impressive. So
and my old test and everybody's old test cannot be migrated over.
No, you have to
so
retest.
That's why they're wanting. That's why this is a great deal. I highly recommend it.
That's why they're charging you again.
You are giving you so much more.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and of course Irish Week and whatnot. So let's see what is happening next week. Going to the social media posts. Be Q&A on Sunday.
Yes, we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Well, you won't see me tomorrow. You'll see Denise tomorrow. I'll be playing the pipe organ at church. So
and Hillary and Murray.
Excellent. Fantastic.
Check our time zones, because we're all in different time zones. For
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of time changes.
We're still in winter time until we'll still be in winter time next Saturday. Summertime starts the last Sunday of the month.
That's right.
Yeah.
And have our friends down under, if anyone's still there, have you moved back to?
I think some of them said in the chat they don't change at all, and some of them change next weekend.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
how can one keep track? That's
even Google got confused when I was checking.
Oh no, that's amazing! Yeah. Then we'll have a question of the week, of course, Monday, or is the one name study this Tuesday, or ORR. Now, is that an Irish surname or is it something else?
Or in Ireland, I know a few R's in Ireland. Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Not sure what the origin is.
Okay. The one place study on Wednesday is Bachman Valley, Maryland.
It's Maryland week next week.
Yes, we'll be talking about
all about Maryland. Very cool.
All about Maryland.
That's why we had the Maryland party in Discord on Thursday. Big party happening there. We'll be promoting the Connect-a-thon on the Thursday. Friday date night on Zoom on Friday night. And then we will be back next Saturday to see you all again. So have a great week, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for
I should
joining
just
us.
say, Amanda asked before we go for me to point out that the 18 for 18 challenge now includes Landmarks 1900 as a new mission.
Excellent. Thank you, Amanda.
Yes.
So if you want to do that mission and you're looking for notables, 4 of this week's featured profiles are waiting to be selected as landmarks.
So is it still
what is
18
the
for 18, or has the number bumped up to 19 for 19 because they've added a new mission?
Ooh, good
No,
point.
oh
no.
now that's next
The
year.
year is still
Would
18
be-
for 18. We're the 18th year.
Oh,
But there are
Okay.
18 challenges for 18
But
years.
there's more than 18 possible things you can do, right?
That's awesome.
You just
Yeah.
choose 18 out of the list that are available, I think. Is
That's
that
right.
it?
That's
oh,
the
what is the mission? Do you have
Well, the
to be
mission
the
is to-
warden for one landmark or for three?
Three.
What?
3
Probably
Three.
just one.
Okay,
You're three?
perfect.
Three.
for
Okay.
3.
Well,
3. Okay. Cool.
And I think 1 in your own CC7 and 2 others.
Okay. Cool.
oh,
just clarifying for new folks.
I
what
proofread
18 for
the
18
description for Amanda. Now I've forgotten exactly what it said.
means.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic.
All right.
Okay. Well,
Great job, everybody.
yeah. Let me just. I'm trying to find There we go. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Patty, for coming in and doing the profiles of the week for us and helping out.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, anytime. You're always welcome. Have a great week, everyone. See you next week.
yes.
Bye.
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 Take care.
See ya.